I'm here at the Exotic Wedding Planning Conference in Barcelona. This is a conference for wedding planners of all abilities who have come throughout Europe to attend the conference. And I'm sat here with one of the speakers, Sandra Santoro. Sandra, welcome and thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Now, my first question I have for you is the same as I have for everybody that comes and sits and talks to me. I'd like you to introduce yourself, tell us who you are and what you do.
I am Sandra Santoro. I am the founder of the company called Getting Married in Italy, and we plan weddings all over Italy. We are a Florence-based bespoke wedding planning and designing company, but we arrange weddings all over Italy in the most beautiful locations, from the countryside to art cities to seaside locations. In Italy, there's so much to choose from, and it's very difficult for our couples to make a decision. So basically, the speciality of our business is that of focusing on what the expectations are from the couple and what their vision is, and making sure that we can translate their vision into the physical realm of the destination, making sure that there is a perfect match and a blending of their culture and our culture. This is something we are able to achieve only through careful listening of couples' expectations, but also guiding them through the decisions.
I don't envy you on one hand having to get all of that done with a client, but I do envy you your location. What a beautiful place to be working. So when I was preparing for this interview, Sandra, I really enjoyed reading about your journey, and you've been on quite a journey with your business. And I quote, "Planning, designing and coordinating weddings in Italy is my calling." So I just thought it would be nice for you to tell us a little bit about what that quote meant, because it's clearly a big thing in your life.
It is indeed. Yes, I can tell you that it was quite a long journey. Even if we look at Italy as destination, the market of destination wedding planning is pretty new. I was one of the pioneers in Italy, but it all happened by chance. I was working on something else. I had recently graduated and I started a company with a colleague. We were offering translation services mainly to companies and private persons, but at the same time we were trying to understand the need of the market. But it happened by chance. I would say that wedding planning found me. One of our clients, one of the most prestigious hotels in Tuscany, called us, and they had the need of helping one of their couples, one of their clients, with the arranging of their plan of a wedding in Italy, in Florence exactly. So we were involved in something different for us. We were not prepared, but it was great fun. I really enjoyed it. Then this wedding was over and we went back to our original plan, so we focused on our ordinary business. Then soon after, I would say it was like 2 months later, the same hotel called us again. They had another couple. So it was then that I realized there was a need in the market. There were no wedding planners. Destination weddings were something completely new in Italy. And there was a need for people who were passionate about taking risks, taking new challenges. Indeed, planning a destination wedding in Italy was a real challenge at that time, talking about 1996. So wow. It's a long time ago. And this was the start. It was then that I realized that it was something I enjoyed. And I wanted to keep going. I wanted to explore all the options. So it was a start just by chance, but then I realized that it was so rewarding. It was rewarding, and now I'm going back to what you said, my calling, because it's so rewarding when you see accomplished what you have been discussing with the couples for months and more often for years. It's so rewarding when you see the tears in the eyes of a couple, when they are so grateful for your job, Um, Generally, during weddings, on the wedding day, I tend to ask the couple to come with me. 5 minutes. I don't want to grab their attention, but like spending 5 minutes with me, having a quick look at the setup of the reception, when the reception is ready to welcome all the guests. So this generally happens during the cocktail hour. And when they come with me and they see everything, they are so happy. And this is worth all the difficulties, all the troubles, and all the hard job throughout the journey.
Well, that's quite an answer. And I can see the passion in your eyes when you're talking about it. So it makes perfect sense. And with a lot of the students that we deal with, this is what they're looking forward to achieving. This is where they want to be. They love the idea of it, but they haven't got to that point where they've actually planned a wedding. They haven't got to that point, the end result. And this is what we try to talk to them about, and that feeling that you have. And clearly it's something that you're still very passionate about, because you're quite a few years down the line in your business. So that's a wonderful thing to have, that passion. So obviously, as you've mentioned, you specialize in destination weddings in Italy. And they say that the design of an event is largely dictated by its surroundings, which is very true. So I was wondering if you could give us some examples of how you've used your surroundings in Italy to create amazing weddings.
First of all, I wish to thank you for your question. I think it's a very interesting topic, and indeed it is something I'm focusing on more and more. And this is my plan, to focus more and more on this in the coming years. Yeah. I need to explain you what I mean by dictating by the surroundings, and what design means in this specific case. What I mean is exactly based on the experience. Right. I'm not talking only about design in terms of decors. I'm talking about the experience in general. I think it's very important to match the destination with the planning and the design. Yeah. And there are so many opportunities to make this happen. What I like most here is approaching design through the 5 senses. I think this is a great way to match the destination. So it's something going beyond decor. It's going into the realm of details, like ranging from music, like selecting a specific piece of music, a specific dance for them, or an instrument, which can add, for instance, a special touch, an Italian touch, for a destination couple. It could be like the arrangement of the reception with specific moments, or the menu styling, the food, the atmosphere, and of course also details which fall into the decor field specifically. If we think about Italy, and since I plan weddings all over Italy, so these may have different options according to the destination. Let's think, for instance, about the Amalfi Coast. Here you can imagine like an alfresco dinner outside, where we have a deep influence of fragrances, the different smells, like the use of lemons, both for fragrances and for decorations, like the use of limoncello liqueur for the menu, or a limoncello flavored wedding cake, the use of local handicraft, both for decor and for favors, or the use of music, like folk music, to make a festive atmosphere for the couple. For instance, if we change location and we think about Tuscany, what is our vivid picture in mind? We think about olive groves, vineyards. Vineyard settings are very popular. We can think about the use of organic elements, aromatic herbs. We can think, for instance, also about using eco fabrics, greenery palette in terms of colors, and also menus like wild game and soups and so on. Yeah. If we change again destination and we think about Venice, then we can imagine like a lagoon breeze reception. In terms of colors, we can think about gold, the use of gold, the use of black colors, also in calligraphy, or the use of blown hair elements. Of course, the idea of carnival, masquerade balls, yes, and so on. So there are so many details to think about. And it's not difficult for a country like Italy to merge the destination into the culture of the couple. And that's where the magic happens.
That was so well described. You've given us so many great examples there of exactly how to use the five senses and your surroundings within design. And that's something we teach so much within our courses at the Academy. And we don't use Italy as an example. So the fact that you've just been able to give us three such stark different examples is fantastic. Thank you. You've really brought that question alive for me. So thank you. Now, you've been in business, as you mentioned, since 1995, and in that time, I can only imagine that you've now set a way of doing things that works for you, as opposed to when you first start and things, you're still finding your feet and you're not quite sure how things are going to work. So I was wondering if you could give us some examples of, the brainstorming process that occurs back at the office when you take on a new wedding, because I'm sure you have a set way of doing things now.
Yes, first of all, I would say that couples choose us and we choose them. It's important to create a synergy. Of course. To plan a wedding. So I would say that the very first step, which I follow with my team, is to convey this synergy to the whole team. So everybody must be along the same line. Yeah. We have to create this synergy with the team, with the couple, and with myself guiding everybody. Then, of course, it depends on where we take the wedding from. Sometimes, I would say, in an ideal situation, we would just have the couple from the very beginning booking with us, allowing us to do the whole process. What I mean, if they have not chosen a venue, we are able, of course, as first step, to set up the budget, because this is the foundation of the planning. And this also dictates all the different choices we're going to make throughout the planning. But sometimes it happens that they have already chosen a venue. So we are stuck with something. We have to plan it around it. In this case, we are trying to understand all their needs and also being a kind of middle relationship between the venue and ourselves, our team. But in an ideal situation, we create everything from scratch. So the very beginning is creating the synergy and also understanding what their expectations are. And this is done through listening and asking as many questions as we need and trying to educate the couple as much as we can. Sure. And then one final important piece of our process is the final debriefing we do. After every event, we get together with a team and we try to understand what the struggles were on the day and the strengths and what was really successful and the weaknesses of the event in order to improve. Absolutely. Every time.
That last one that you mentioned, the debrief, is so important, not just in weddings, but within any event that you plan, to really be able to continue to improve what you offer and what you do. It's absolutely imperative. So I think from the other things you said are obviously very important, but that's one that I really take away and think, yeah, we need to constantly be improving on what we're doing. And the only way to do that is to sit down and look at what went well, what didn't go so well, what you could have done better, where your challenges were, etc., etc. And there are always challenges in any event, no matter how well they're planned. So there's always a lesson to be learnt, I think, in every event. So the world of design is changing. You know, it's changed a lot over the last 4 or 5 years. So what do you think makes great weddings and event design? You know, what's at the heart of it for you? And I think I know what you're going to say. I have a feeling the 5 senses might be coming into this.
Yes, sure, the 5 senses in terms of design, but going back to what I said previously is the experience. Yeah. I'm thinking about couples coming from a different country. We have many couples coming from a very far country like the US or Australia, and it's a long journey for them. Absolutely. But also for their guests. So the expectations are pretty high. And it's very important that we create an experience for everybody. It's already an experience, the planning journey with a couple. So we have to be careful because couples are stressed, especially at the very end of the planning. So we have to make this experience pleasant and stress-free for them. But then when people arrive, it's important to just create a memorable experience. I can think about couples imagining this experience throughout the planning. Yeah. Some couples have their very vision in mind, and they can picture the atmosphere, they can picture the colors, they can smell what will be there on the day. They can even hear guests talking, like imagining them chatting during the cocktail reception, for instance. So it's very important to make sure that those expectations are met, and that's why we are here to help to make their vision visible and palpable on the day, to make sure that guests will go back and will never forget the experience. That's why we generally tend to have like a 3-day event. Right. Where the first day is a way of welcoming guests, and it's very important to properly welcome them because it's the start. Yeah. Then we have the main day, and the day after, generally the final thing we plan on the final day is a brunch. We generally suggest guests not to leave immediately after, because it's a very fun moment, and relax, and when people are able to recap what happened on the day, so it's part of the experience.
I think destination weddings, that's where the big change is from planning a normal wedding at home. It is a 3 or 4 day experience rather than just the one day, and therefore that has to come into the design process, as you say, from the moment you welcome them to the moment you wave goodbye to them. It's all part of the experience, and you're essentially telling a story of this couple throughout that whole time. And that's where I see the big difference between destination weddings and, of course, planning a normal wedding at home. So it is a little different. You are planning more than just one event. So that whole experience has to be woven into the entire story. So since starting your business, everybody has challenges, everybody has triumphs. What would be your biggest challenge and what would be your biggest triumph?
As to the triumphs, I think I already answered this question, talking about the tears of joy of the bride. Every time we complete a wedding, every time we have an event accomplished, this is the main thing. And it's never enough. It's never enough, and what's important is when couples say to you, well, this was exactly what I was looking for, even if I didn't know this was what I looking for. That's here the ability of the planner to understand them, to listen to them, to pose the right questions, to make sure that we know exactly where to guide them. Sometimes it's important not only to ask them what they want and what they like, but also what they don't like. Sometimes for me it's enough to understand that there's something they really don't like, and this is a fundamental element to help them throughout the planning and design. So this is one of the achievements. And in terms of struggles, we have struggles every day. It's a very it's a very difficult job. I love to work under pressure. That's why I'm still working in this business. But I would say one of the main struggles is to combine the planning of events. I'm talking about the execution during the wedding season, the high season, with at the same time getting new bookings. So working on new couples, trying to get bookings for the following season. So trying to meet all the requests as promptly as possible. But at the same time, you're really involved in the day-by-day operation. So this is really a struggle.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying there about the ability to be able to also work the weddings but still bring in new clients is something that's so important, because without the new clients there will be no season next year, and it's being able to find that fine line and that balance between time management and also just being able to go out there and spend time with the new clients as well as the existing ones. So yes, I think that would be a challenge for every business, no matter how long you've been in business for. So my last question, Sandra, and I've asked this of everybody, wedding planning is not for the weak. So I really just wanted to know what your advice would be for somebody looking to enter the wedding industry as a wedding planner, starting a new career.
So the main advice, I would say, to be authentic. So be authentically you. Of course, couples are buying you. So it's important that you project what you think it's important for you as in terms of personality and of course business. This authenticity must be conveyed also to the team. You have to talk to your team, you have to explain them that it's important to understand what makes you different as a team. And then you need to convey this into your presentations. Perception is very important. So presentations are really matter. You have to make sure that you convey your personality and what's different. For instance, you can think about 3 adjectives that describe your business. It's important to stop and think if those adjectives really convey what your business is. Do they describe you? Are they consistent with your brand? Brand consistency is something we always need to take care of. And at the same time, we have to create new and fresh products in order to be on the market. So it's a matter also of being constantly attentive to what's going on, to change our way of doing things. And being educated. I would say that the key of everything is humility. You need to be humble. You need to make sure that you always need for support. No matter where you are with your journey in your business, you need to listen to other people. You can learn. You can learn from a colleague who has just started, who has 1 year of experience. They can give you some fresh ideas, a different way of looking things. But at the same time, you can learn from experience, from what went wrong. So humility, I think it's a key. And then I want to say something. I recently attended a conference, and there was something which really I loved, and this was a statement of famous world designer Preston Baylis.
Okay.
And
was this Engage?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And he said it's not important only to be successful, but it's important also to survive. Yeah. So the key to survive is that of education and humility.
What a great way to end this interview, and what a great quote. I've always wanted to go to Engage. I've never been, but I have seen Preston Bailey speak, and I've heard him say similar things when I saw him speak in America. And it's very true. And I really liked that piece of advice you gave about the 3 adjectives. You should be able to have 3 adjectives that describe who you are, and make sure that they're consistent throughout your branding and throughout everything you do. So I want to say thank you very much for taking the time out of the conference.
My pleasure.
to sit here and talk to me. And that was a fantastic interview. You gave so many great pieces of advice there. We have lots to share with everybody now. So thank you very much, and thank you for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Please don't forget to check into our YouTube channel to watch all of the videos and interviews that we've done with all of the speakers here at the Exotic Wedding Planning Conference in Barcelona.